Over 60% of dementia patients begin doing strange things at night long before diagnosis, but most families brush them off as normal aging or insomnia until it's too late, because it doesn't look like dementia, but the truth is more terrifying than it seems. Today, I'll uncover 7 bizarre night behaviors families witnessed before anyone knew it was something they feared the most. If you care about them, you won't ignore this. So let's dive right in. Number 1. Sleeping fully dressed. Clara was 74 when her daughter noticed she'd started going to bed wearing jeans and a sweater. Clara said she felt more prepared that way. Her daughter brushed it off as a new habit at first, but it got stranger over time. Clara began refusing to change clothes entirely, sleeping with her shoes on and even clutching her purse in bed. Her daughter tried to coax her into pajamas, but Clara insisted she needed to be ready to leave if anything happened. The turning point came one night when she tried to wear a coat and gloves to bed, saying someone was coming to pick her up later. That was the day her daughter contacted Clara's doctor. She was diagnosed with Alzheimer's at age 76, nearly 2 years after the strange bedtime behavior first appeared. Researchers report that changes in nighttime clothing habits may reflect early disorientation, paranoia, or disruptions in routines tied to dementia. As the brain loses its sense of time and purpose, familiar rituals like dressing for bed can break down. What looks like stubbornness or anxiety may signal cognitive impairment affecting memory, sequencing, and personal safety awareness. Number 2. Accusing someone of coming into the room. 2 years before Dave, 68, was diagnosed with vascular dementia, he started locking their bedroom door at night. He said someone might sneak in while they slept. At first, his wife thought he was just spooked from the scary videos. But his behavior escalated. Dave began checking the windows carefully, pushing a chair against the front door, and refusing to sleep unless the hallway lights were on. Soon, he claimed he heard footsteps, and once said he saw a man standing near the closet. The turning point came when he accused her of unlocking the door on purpose to let the man in, the one she was supposedly cheating with. That's the moment she'd had enough, and called their doctor the next morning. Doctors explained that this suspicion often emerges from visual hallucinations and delusional thinking common in dementia. At night, low light and sleep disruption can trigger misinterpretations of shadows, sounds, or memories. Over time, these distortions become more vivid and threatening, leading the person to genuinely believe someone is entering their space or plotting against them. Number 3. Going outside in the middle of the night. Just a year before her Alzheimer's diagnosis at age 83, Pam's husband began finding the front door unlocked every morning. He assumed she had simply forgotten to check it before bed. But soon, he noticed something strange. One night around 1 a.m., he got up and realized Pam wasn't in bed. He found her standing near the entryway in her bathrobe, holding her purse. She said she was just checking the mail. The situation escalated over time. Once, he caught her quietly unlocking the deadbolt around midnight, insisting she had an early appointment to get to. The turning point came when a neighbor called before sunrise, saying Pamela was walking barefoot down the sidewalk, looking for her deceased sister. That's when he knew something was seriously wrong and called their doctor in the morning. Experts confirm that nighttime wandering is one of the most dangerous early dementia behaviors. As the brain loses its grip on time, memory, and place, familiar routines like sleep become disconnected from reality. This disorientation can lead to attempts to leave the house, find long-gone people, or complete forgotten tasks, putting the person at serious risk of injury, exposure, or getting lost. That means most families could be looking in the completely wrong place. Most watch for forgetfulness, but that's not how it usually starts. It often begins with creepy behaviors, especially after midnight. By the time dementia is obvious, the damage is already deep and too late to undo. That's why recognizing these warnings early is so important. Let's keep going. Number 4. Turning on every light without a reason. When Warren was 75, roughly 3 years before vascular dementia diagnosis, his wife began waking up to find every light in the house turned on. Kitchen, bathroom, even the closet. At first, she assumed he'd simply forgotten to turn them off. But when she asked, Warren said he did turn them off. A few months later, she found him in the living room at 3 a.m., sitting silently on the couch with every light blazing. He told her he thought they were already off. Then came the turning point. Warren began flipping lights on and off repeatedly before bed, claiming he was resetting the system. One night, he even unscrewed a hallway bulb because he believed it was sending signals to the neighbors. That was the week his wife scheduled an evaluation and got the result she feared. Experts warn that light-related behaviors like these may stem from early changes in the brain regions, responsible for visual interpretation and environmental awareness. In dementia, people may lose the ability to distinguish between natural and artificial light cues, especially during sleep transitions. Combined with declining judgment, this can lead to obsessive light checking, fear of darkness, or paranoia triggered by shadows and reflections. Number 5. Wandering the house aimlessly at night. Amanda was 69 when her husband began waking to strange nighttime sounds. Soft footsteps, a creaking cabinet, the faint click of a drawer. At first, he assumed she couldn't sleep, but when he asked, Amanda insisted she'd stayed in bed. Over the next few months, he noticed little signs in the morning. Pillows moved, lights left on, a cereal box out on the counter. Then, at 2 a.m. one night, he found Amanda pacing the kitchen barefoot, staring at the sink. She looked dazed but claimed nothing was wrong. The turning point came when she began opening every cabinet one by one, then wandered into the laundry room muttering about the paper. That was the week he called the doctor. Amanda was diagnosed with Alzheimer's disease nearly 2 years after the strange behaviors began. Findings suggest nighttime wandering is one of the earliest behavioral signs of dementia. As the brain's circadian system fails, it disrupts the body's sleep-wake cycles, while frontal lobe damage impairs judgment and spatial awareness. What looks like harmless restlessness may actually be the brain's first sign of deeper decline, especially when it becomes repetitive, ritualistic, or disconnected from reality. Number 6. Speaking to people who aren't there. About a year before Alan, 77, was diagnosed with Lewy body dementia, his daughter first overheard him having what sounded like a casual conversation in the middle of the night. She thought he was just on the phone until she walked past his room and realized he was alone. When she asked who he'd been talking to, Alan said, "Just an old friend," but wouldn't say more. It was just the beginning, and over the next few months, it became constant. Sometimes he was laughing softly. Other times, he was whispering as if not to wake anyone. One night, she found him sitting upright on bed, looking at the dark corner of the room and muttering, "They're back again." That was the moment she realized this wasn't just sleep talking, and called his doctor the next day. Neurologists confirm that hallucinations and phantom conversations are especially common at night in dementia. As visual and auditory processing begins to fail, the brain may invent people, sounds, or scenarios to fill in the gaps. These hallucinations often feel real and meaningful to the person experiencing them, making it harder for families to recognize them as medical red flags rather than emotional or spiritual episodes. Number 7. Rearranging objects in the dark. When 70-year-old Joyce's son found neatly folded towels in the hallway and canned food stacked on the floor in the morning, he figured new medication was making her act up. That was just over a year before her Alzheimer's diagnosis, and it kept happening even after she stopped taking it. Once, he heard shuffling at 1 a.m. and found her in the kitchen, silently lining up silverware along the counter. When asked why, she replied, "They weren't in the right order." A few weeks later, she spent over an hour moving shoes from room to room, then returning them to the exact same spot. The behavior made no sense, but Joyce always had an explanation. It wasn't until she dropped a drawer of silverware and shouted that someone changed the pattern that her son finally sought help. Studies show that obsessive nighttime routines, especially involving sorting, folding, or touching objects, are often early signs of brain changes tied to behavioral variant dementia. As damage builds in the frontal lobes, the brain loses flexibility and becomes fixated on repetitive tasks. These behaviors are often mistaken for quirks, but they reflect deeper breakdowns in impulse control, attention, and spatial reasoning. By the time anyone realizes what these behaviors mean, the damage is often already done and irreversible. If you've seen even one of these signs in someone you love, don't brush it aside. Take action while there's still time, because what happens after midnight could be the very first sign that dementia has already begun.
And there you have it. What are your thoughts? Next, dive into this video for more essential tips to transform your health and help you thrive. You're going to love it. Thanks for watching Healthy End, and we'll see you there.